you very much for joining me. We will be looking at most of the majors, crosses, and all the other currency pairs and important indices. So, as always, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. Please take a moment to look over the risk disclaimer, which should now be on your screen. If you're watching the recording, take a moment to pause the recording, carefully look over the risk disclaimer, then we will go to the charts. Alright, so, additional disclaimers in order. To my mind, there is not a lot of clarity in the markets right now. Most of the dollar pairs look fairly ugly. This is dollar CAD. It's one of the few that I have a very firm technical setup on. The yen pairs aren't much better. There's significant divergence in the yen pairs in terms of how I view them. We'll go through that. And then also it is worth noting that we have a holiday in the US, Canada, and France on Monday. All right. And I think it's the same everywhere. I know in the US it's Veterans Day, in Canada it's Remembrance Day, same idea. And then in France I assume it might be something similar, but honestly I'm not sure. So we could have some somewhat slower activity to start the week in anticipation of those holidays. I mean, Tokyo and the rest of Asia is in full swing tonight, and most of Europe is going tomorrow, especially the key German and English markets. But in anticipation of the holiday, we tend to have some slower trades, so may see a slow start to the week. But we'll take a look at what I do see going forward and kind of go from there. All right, so this is dollar CAD. Dollar CAD remains a pair that I am fairly bullish on. You can see that we are now testing this descending trendline resistance, this 105 figure, all right, big, nice, big round number, held on first touch. Pulled back gap slightly higher, nothing to do there. Mostly looking for a daily or 4-hour close above 105 to initiate some dollar CAD longs. If we pull it out just a little bit to the weekly chart, all right, I would expect a break of 105 to get us at least up to 106, if not 106.56, these previous highs. We can actually see this pair continue to march higher. You can see on the weekly moving averages, we have the 50 crossing above the 100, and we're starting to challenge that 200 week, which held very nicely here these 6 weeks or so. So I do think this pair is poised to continue to the upside. It is a dollar pair, so therefore subject to the whims and wants of the Fed. But it is one of the few dollar pairs that I have a definite setup on going into this week. The other dollar majors, all right, euro dollar, gap slightly lower. The play on euro dollar was to sell up around here, which worked out pretty well. The problem now is that we're kind of just, after the strong NFP moves on Friday, we have these two big long wicks off 133 that I don't really know what to make of. I think a move up towards this area here, 134.50 or so, still provides a good selling opportunity. A move down back into this 200-day EMA at 132.76 could provide a long opportunity. Where we sit right now, it's kind of in a gray zone for me. You can see we did fill this gap here, so that is one reason to continue higher. But I do think, for the most part, a lot of technical damage has been done to this pair. All right, you can see that trend line has broken. We've broken out of that consolidation here. So I do think that we'll have a little bit of trouble mounting rallies. So 134.50 would be a nice area to try to sell. But I don't really want to touch it when we're here in this middle zone. Pound dollar, kind of a similar story. All right, we're sort of now stuck here in the middle of this range. Get rid of this fib line. Okay, bounced nicely off the 50-day EMA. Major support is 159. Major resistance is 162.40 or so. Up until that point, again, I don't have a great trade. You can always do the usual gap fill short and hope that it breaks down. But while we're in the middle of this range, I don't have a tremendous interest. I wouldn't mind trying a fade at 161. But we do have some fairly insignificant and extensive pound data this week. All right, employment claims, inflation numbers, and then the release of the inflation report, which comes with it a press conference from Carney, the head of the Bank of England. Those are always high volatility events. Hard to judge exactly which way that he's going to break the market. So I would not be overly engaged on pound dollar or really any pound pair somewhere in the middle of this week. Or at least I'd be aware of the data coming out. Aussie dollar is fairly clear, actually. It's another dollar pair that I do have a decent idea on. To me, it looks like we have begun a breakdown here on pound dollar, or sorry, on pound dollar, on Aussie dollar. This is again the daily chart. You can see we made new lows. All right, we broke out of this channel, and admittedly, you know, abbreviated channel, only really 2 touches before the breakdown. But we did also close below the 50-100 EMAs, so I do think Aussie dollar has some downside potential here. Rallies up towards these moving averages and channels around 94.40 would be a good target. And then, yes, we do have an open gap here. Right here, you can see it at 92. I have it at like 92.70. Is there another one that I'm missing? Yeah. So that's the general. There also is a gap area down here, which would provide a nice first target. It's about 130 pips below market. So that's Aussie dollar. Another. Let's keep going through the dollar pairs. Let's be. All right, Kiwi dollar. All right, this is what I've been looking at. I've been looking at this pair forever. That 84 level held very nicely. Unfortunately, I didn't short. At this point now, 82 is the level to watch. A break below 82 could herald some more significant downside. This is an open gap on Kiwi as well. That comes in at about 81.26. So that would give you about 80 pips below 82 to the open gap. That's how you want to try to play that. But until Kiwi breaks 82, I'm not really going to have a great interest in trying to trade it. Going to sort of watch it chop around up here and see if that 82 level will give way, or see if we're going to try to mount some sort of rally up towards 86.75 highs. Dollar yen, okay, gap slightly higher. Dollar yen is a little bit complicated here. We are above one of the major daily triangles. The other daily triangle sits about 75 pips from market, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. This is a decent long, I think, opportunity if we can pull back to close gap at around 99. But I'm not a huge fan of the rest of the yen pairs is the problem, all right? Euro yen, obvious short, very attractive short. We'll probably be taking it when I finish the webinar. Aussie yen, not as actually attractive of a short, but like you see, again, the significant candle makes me a little bit nervous. CAD yen is another one, very near its resistance level. Pound yen, very near its resistance level. Swiss yen is actually retesting right now. Okay, similar to Euro yen. So some of the yen pairs to me, yeah, no, there you go. There's another one. Lots and lots and lots of people long dollar yen. And the other thing to me, all right, the Nikkei also doesn't look particularly great. All right, we held this alternative trend line here. We're sort of back above this shorter term trend line, testing this 50-day EMA. But we do have some significant resistance in this area, and again, 15,000 remains the big level here. So if we do manage to see the Nikkei squeeze higher, we could get yen pairs to squeeze higher as well. But of the yen pairs, the only one I'm really keen on trying maybe to buy is dollar yen. So that might be a hedging opportunity for those of you that trade like that, if any of you do. I don't personally, but a long dollar yen, short euro yen trade might actually be a nice combination. Something to keep an eye on. I don't think I looked at Kiwi yen. Stuck in its range. Kiwi yen's actually a nice one too. Not to trade right now, but just in terms of clear levels, 83.56 sell, 80 buy is basically the levels on Kiwi dollar that you want to keep your eye on. And then obviously a breakout above or below either of those levels opens up a pretty solid move, actually about a 300 pip in either direction. So that's definitely something to keep your eye on as well. So watch dollar yen, watch that gap fill. If we do manage to start breaking down back below 99, expect to see another one of these candles, all right, with a lot of stops being grabbed, because I'm sure a lot of people reinitiated those longs stop below. They probably put their stop at about 98.50 or so. But that is another popular, I think, stop level lurking right in this area if we do start another false breakout here on dollar yen. All right, so euro yen, great for shorts. Dollar yen, good for longs. So sort of keep that in mind. Well, then, so sometimes the chart of the day, well, that's, so officially for members, we don't always take the trades, especially pound CAD, because it had about a 70 pip stop, which is what we don't try to go, we try not to go that high very often. I personally took pound CAD and tweeted about it. In terms of not taking Kiwi dollar, I just forgot. I just lost track of it, and I just missed it, which happens to me more often than it should. Need to start putting more alarms on pairs. Or watching my own stuff more often. Speaking of, yeah, I would early onset dementia or just lots and lots and lots of pairs that I try to keep track of. Speaking of pound CAD, let's run through the CAD crosses, some of which are actually really attractive this week. Pound CAD is not one of them. The buy opportunity was here. That was a chart of the day that I did through Daily FX. That was also on our website. Right now, there's not a lot to do unless we are lucky enough for another return down towards this channel. I would be happy to try to buy it again. 170 remains the major resistance area. Aussie CAD breakdown. All right, that's a nice, very nice breakdown out of an Aussie CAD channel. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of the channel before a strong breakdown. I'm very much a fan of this pair. To the downside, if we do rally up towards 98.86, that is a 200-day EMA and the channel retest. That is just a beautiful area to initiate shorts. So that's definitely one to keep in mind. I have been extraordinarily bearish the Canadian dollar the past 4 or so weeks. Not in, at least in terms of my bias, if not in as many trades as I would like. But with the last 2 data reports out of Canada, stronger employment on Friday and a really strong PMI number on Wednesday, I think, have sort of mitigated that bearish bias, at least against the other commodity currencies, which tend to actually signal risk off if they fall. So that's something to keep in mind. But definitely 98.86 is a huge level to try to get short Aussie CAD. Some terrific resistance there. That moved lower, would target about 96, I think would be a good target. Kiwi CAD, I don't actually think I've looked at in a while. Kiwi CAD, similar to Kiwi Yen actually, 87.80 is the fade level. I know it might have been you, Jason, that got short up there last week, and if that was you, spot on, nice work. That actually worked out to be a terrific trade. Gap's quite a bit higher to start this week, actually. That could be a fade opportunity if you like playing gap opens. I think this pair due to test 86. Close below 86, all right, and we could be the start of a significant move lower on that double top break. So that actually worked out very well. Great trade, Jason. I didn't follow you on that, but that worked out spectacularly. EuroCAD looks pretty bearish, I think. Yeah, ugly but bearish. This candle, I don't even really know what to make of this candle. Very nice test of the 100-day EMA, I guess. Other than that, this pair still looks bearish to me, though I don't have a particularly great setup. If we do sort of roll over here between 140 and 141, kind of create a right shoulder, I could convince myself into head and shoulders trade on a break. All right, so watch out for that. Ace asks about Euro Yen, good entry for Euro Yen. Let's take a look at some shorter term charts for Euro Yen. I can give you a more specific breakdown of that possibility. So here's a 4-hour chart of Euro Yen. I would actually be looking to enter pretty close to market, depending on your risk tolerance. We're at 132.45. I would want my stop to be about 132.90. All right, so a 45 pip stop, which doesn't bother me. If you are a little bit more risk averse, the better entry is about 132.67. We are gapped right around this 50% fib. The 618% fib is about 132.75, so that would be actually an ideal area to try to enter a short. That's the fib from this major sell-off that you see here. In terms of targets for Euro Yen, one of the reasons I would be willing to have a slightly wider stop on this pair is, I mean, the obvious target right now is, well, first target would be another test of this 100-day EMA at 131.45. You can see it held twice. The next major level for me is 127.58. That's the 200-day EMA. So that's about 400 pips below market. So you have a very, very large target here, but it's also a very reasonable one in terms of how this pair can move. So definitely very much a fan of Euro Yen shorts here early in the week. Kind of, that's the top of the channel. All right, Swiss pairs. Let's do the Swissies. Okay, dollar Swiss. Remain very bullish. Dollar Swiss. It just now is an issue of trying to find an entry after the squeeze higher. I guess a move back down towards this area here. That's about 91.50 would be a nice opportunity here to try to get long. This pair very active. You can see on Friday Thursday and Friday, two very wicky, very long candles. So do like that potential. I don't know if we're gonna get it, but if we do, I like it. Other CAD pairs, CAD Swiss. You can see this resistance level very clearly, 88.75 is a trend line in the 100-day EMA. So watch that level. You could try buying CAD Swiss on a pullback down towards 87, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Aussie Swiss, okay, very nicely held this channel. You can see these are the relevant levels here. Next major support is about 85.47. I would not have an objection to trying to buy it there. When in general, I try to find opportunities to short the Swiss franc, but you need to be a little bit picky about them. Pound Swiss actually rallied up. Let's get rid of these lines. God, that's ugly. Pound Swiss rallied very nicely. We'll look at its compatriot Euro Pound in a second. Okay, this level 148, very, very important apparently here on Pound Swiss. So look for an opportunity perhaps to get long for an eventual breakout above that level. If we do see some sort of major rally here, 145 would be a nice entry. I doubt we'll get that low. So then maybe just keep your eye on these fib levels. 146 is a nice level to try and maybe snag some Pound Swiss to the upside for an eventual break of 148. Euro Pound. Breaking down here, alright? We are sitting right on a retest of this trend line. We are, though, below this major horizontal level. We closed below it not once but twice. Now we opened again below it. If we do manage to get back above 83.50 or so, we could start to see a squeeze to the upside. But right now this pair does look fairly bearish. This is daily Euro Pound. It's also not incredibly clear to me, so I would not be looking really to trade that. Euro Aussie, the only thing I know is that 145 is a major resistance level. I don't know if we'll test there. This bottom part of this configuration isn't very clear, so I don't know exactly what this pair is doing. Alright, something like that, I guess. So a little bit of an expanding pattern, which I hate. They're my least favorite things in the world, and I tend not to trade them. Pound Aussie, breaking higher, look for a move up towards about 173. I think we'll get there eventually. Just a question of finding an entry that'll get us there. Pound Kiwi, I like very much to the upside here, despite the gap, actually even considering the gap lower. Finally broke out here out of this descending trend line. This was drawn using a 4-hour chart. This pair is extraordinarily choppy, but if you look, we did not manage a 4-hour close above this line until here. We tested this 50% fib, we started to head higher. The problem with trading this pair is that you get these crazy spikes. This is like a 200 pip candle, for what it's worth. It's a 120 pip candle. No big deal. Alright, those are fairly common on this pair. I do expect this pair as well to continue to march higher towards about 197, 197.50. I am actually aggressively bullish on Pound Kiwi. but we'll see how that plays out. I have 198 targets and then two targets of 2 and 201. But it's a wide stop, wide target, low leverage type pair. Euro Kiwi. Again, I kind of like Euro higher, but not a lot. I don't have a great pattern for this pair. We basically held this low area here very nicely, actually, and then I guess the topside resistance comes in at around 165. So the range would be a long targeting 165, but it's not by any means my favorite. I don't know if the guy who likes the Nordic pairs is here, but here are the Nordic pairs. Dollar SEK, I like it obviously to the upside, but again it's about finding an entry. Pullbacks towards 65518 could be an entry. The ideal entry is 6.5 on a retest of this broken trend line. It's not the most clear. Norwegian kroner is more clear. Clear up some of this. Of course, it has quite a pullback to go, but if we do pull back to about 6, that is an absolutely fantastic opportunity to get long. I don't know if we will, but if that's what we see here beginning of the week, next week, watch that level very closely. Alright, let's do indices. E-minis. Alright, E-minis has been just a pain in the butt lately. Watch this 1770 area, about 1774 or so, has become a resistance level. The support area first is 1750, all right, and then these lows here around 1740. I don't have a particularly great idea of what this pair or what this index is doing here on the longer term, other than just kind of hovering around this top of this weekly wedge here. So I do think that equities have at least a setup to be bearish, but they're not bearish yet by any stretch of the imagination. Gold, a little bit more bearish than most things. Yeah, I don't actually see gold as a triangle. Okay, we might get a retest here at 1260. That would be a nice opportunity perhaps to try along. If anything, I think gold is just dealing with this wedge break, and I don't know what it wants to do about it. Gold to me is, I'm staying away from gold. I mean, I don't actually trade it, but I don't have great analysis on it right now. I would buy it at 1260. I would try to buy it on a breakout above this descending trend line here. It should be about above 1300. And then above 1360 would be actually the real level to get bullish. Problem with gold, alright, so gold's selling off because of concerns about the Fed taper in December. We had very strong employment numbers on Friday. Gold actually moved before the release, which is becoming more and more of a thing, but then responded very predictably to the stronger employment numbers, selling off on the back of a stronger dollar. So that's what gold's concerned about here. I do still think gold has bottomed at 1179. I think that eventually we'll see this gold push higher here. If we do manage to dip down to 1179 figure, that would be the last ditch effort to buy below there, and we'll start to see some major selling. Gold 1260 is a level to watch on gold. I guess that's what I would take out of that. Crude has been beaten up lately. All right, after peaking at 112, we're down to about 94. It still looks bearish to me. It looks like we're just in a very clear bearish market where we sell, we rally. Then we should fall again here this week. Major support levels: 91.20, 90, and then these previous lows at 85.90. So watch those levels. Would not be trying to get aggressively long oil really at all this week. All right, even if we break this descending trend line, that would, if you're an oil bull, that would be your opportunity. But it's not. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't have a great interest in trying to do anything with that. Just for fun, this is the dollar peso. Some people trade it. I think I traded it once. I think I made like $1 and just called it a day. That 1345 level is big. Other than that, watch this ascending trend line at about 13. I'm a big fan of Mexican food, just not a big fan of the Mexican currency. Trading it in either direction. All right, so that's all the pairs that I can think of off the top of my head. Questions, requests, anything like that? Silver. All right, and then my favorite pair. Let's do silver while I think about what my favorite pair might be. This is silver. Silver, very similar to gold to me. Okay, that's the big level for opportunities to buy the pair. If we break that, opportunity to buy the pair if we test that support level, and then I guess that is a medium term. You could try to front run along above 22.15. That would get you above the 4-hour moving average and the finish your trend line, and then you hope you clear 23, and that should open everything up. Major support is basically 25. If we break below there, I would not want to be long silver. It could very easily liquidate down towards that 18-17 figure. So that would be something I would be very cautious about. My favorite pair, I think my favorite pair, Aussie CAD is probably my favorite. To the downside, either from here or on a rally back up towards that 98.80 figure. I'm a big fan of this Euro Yen, but I can't call it my favorite pair because I don't like how dollar yen looks. I also like pound Kiwi, but I don't want to call that my favorite pair because I don't think there'll be an entry this week. So I think I'm going to stick with Aussie CAD shorts as my favorite pair, down towards about 95-ish, 95.20. 98.80 is a huge level to try to get short if we rally up to there, and if we it might be a good time to take a small half position add on a rally to 98.80. A break above 99 would negate, and it would probably lead into a squeeze up towards about 101. Other questions, requests, pairs, commodities, currencies, indices, stock. Nothing. Alright, well, thank you everyone for joining me. Happy Sunday evening to those of you for whom it is still Sunday. Good luck this trading this week. The pound will be the most busy start to the week because of the holidays. But good luck. As always, you can find me on Twitter here or on the website at GlobalFxClub.com. Look out for the videos. They'll be coming out this week, and that's all. So thanks again, and good luck.